Sweet. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Hey, greetings to you. My name is Jim Adkins, and I'm the honored. I have the honored privilege of starting Sustainable Poultry Network in 2010. We are coming up on our 10-year anniversary of the Sustainable Poultry Network. And so I am, today is, Bryan, what is it? August the 27th
Yes, sir.
of 2020. And I am at Windy Ridge Poultry in Gig Harbor, Washington. So I'm standing here with Bryan Olsen.
Yes, sir.
Move a little closer. You can see our shirts. They match. Windy Ridge Poultry.
That's right.
So just mention for a minute, if you will, Bryan, how'd you, it's pretty simple. I asked you just a few minutes ago, how did you come up with the name Windy Ridge? Why don't you tell them?
Well, we live on the top of the ridge here on the peninsula, and it's pretty windy here most of the time. So it
There you
makes
go.
sense.
He lives on a ridge, and it gets kind of windy. But today is absolutely gorgeous. It's a beautiful day in Gig Harbor, Washington, here at Windy Ridge Poultry. Now, Bryan is he's in our mentoring program, and he has a passion for Salmon Faverolles. All right, and so Bryan, why don't you just share briefly how you found the program? Just a little summary. How you found, why you're interested in SPN USA, but also, even more importantly, is why the Salmon Faverolles. And talk nice and loud there.
Well, my main goal was to find a breed that fit our climate up here, as far as a bird that would lay in the winter and still grow good come spring.
Right.
Sustainable Poultry Network appealed to me because it fits all of my core values as a stockman, as a producer.
Yeah.
And I really liked what the Sustainable Poultry Network stands for and the mission itself.
Cool. Good. So it really helps the fact that you got started with some good genetics. And his genetics, his Salmon Faverolles genetics, come from one of our solid breeders in the Sustainable Poultry Network, and that is Matt Hemmer. Matt is the owner of Smoky Buttes Ranch in Lindsborg, Kansas. So Matt really wanted to be here today when we were doing selection, but he had some prior commitments and wasn't able to come. So what we did today is we did the male selection.
Yes, we did.
And you received about maybe 110, 120?
112 chicks, I think is what we
Okay,
ended up with.
over 100 baby chicks. You raised them out. And I'm looking at my notes from today. He raised out 57 males. 57 males of the
That's right.
Salmon Faverolles. And the really cool thing is Bryan has never done this before, and he himself narrowed it down to 16 males.
16, yes, sir.
16 males. Tell them a little bit about that process. What was it like, and what was it hard? Did you feel like it came easy? Just talk a little bit about that.
Well, for me, it came easy as far as judging livestock in general. I started culling these birds from day one, and that significantly made the process easier. And every time I did something with the birds, when I weighed them at 8 weeks, I did a soft cull on them. As far as, when I say soft cull, I mean culling for basic DQ disqualifications.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
And then I did it again. I went a little deeper and a little heavier and harder on the birds at 16 weeks.
Right.
And I did it 8 weeks.
Yeah.
It's hard to cull for color at 8 weeks, where at 16 weeks you have a little bit better understanding of where the birds are color-wise for what they should be to the standard.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Cool. So you went through this process. Now, what were the things that automatically? And this is I'm holding our favorite male. It's his favorite male. It's our favorite male. Out of the 57 males, we have the best one in our hands. So, you mentioned earlier just these were some basic things that you looked for, like you didn't tolerate X, Y, Z. What were some of those things?
Some of the biggest things I noticed with making my decisions to cull birds were strictly based on everyday problems with the birds. No leg feathering.
Yeah, they're supposed to have leg feathering. So if they didn't have proper leg feathering, they were culled.
Automatic cull, yes. Sir.
Yeah, they're supposed to have how many toes?
5 toes.
5 toes. So if you had 4 toes or cricket toes were
automatic cull. 4 toes was automatic disqualification for me.
Right. Yeah.
No beard, no muffs.
Okay.
On these
Yeah,
birds.
that's right. No beards. If they didn't have the proper beards and the proper muffs, you'd cull them.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So we ended up today with 6 males out of 57.
Yes, sir, we did.
And and just share with them a little bit, why 6 males? We're only going to set up 3 breeding pens. Why do we need 6 males?
Well, in my opinion, I wanted birds to fall back on in case something happens to my main breeding males.
Right.
I.e., example, fertility issues, predator loss.
Yeah. Just simple
everyday problems that happen with your birds.
Yeah.
Plan B, I call it.
Yeah. Yeah. So we kept six males. Let me tell you, if you're not familiar with a Salmon Faverolles, as Bryan mentioned, they have feathered shanks. They have 5 toes. The majority of chickens have 4 toes. Salmon Faverolles have 5 toes. They have these muffs and beards that you were mentioning. They have a single comb. How many spikes are supposed to be on the comb?
It's supposed to be 5.
5 spikes are supposed to be on the single comb. Let me read you just a little brief history from the, we call it the Chicken Bible, and it's the standard of perfection. And I understand your mom tells me, you love the book. It's like you take it to the airport,
Absolutely.
you love reading it, love learning it. Is that right? He does, huh?
It is.
Mom just showed up, so it's kind of fun. And actually, I'll tell you, when I first started coming to Windy Ridge, Mom was just kind of around. Now she's intricately involved in chickens. Maybe not purebreds, and she's not in the breeding program. She likes raising the Heinz 57s, but she's definitely turned into a chicken lover, hasn't she? So listen to this. In the standard of perfection, it says the Faverolles is a composite breed originating from crosses of Houdans, Dorkings, and Asiatic in the village of Faverolles, France. Have you been there yet?
No, I have not.
Let's go. All right. Where they were bred primarily for utility. So utility means it was a bird that was developed for production.
Right.
For production. Let me continue reading. It says, the production of heavy table poultry and winter eggs was the main object of the French poultry breeders in establishing this breed. Unlike other French breeds of poultry, Faverolles lay tinted instead of white-shelled eggs. They were actually admitted to the standard of perfection in 1914. So it goes on and it says its economic qualities. A general purpose fowl for the production of meat and eggs. Color of skin is white, color of eggshells is light brown. So when I am mentoring Bryan, what he's doing is he's studying the standard of perfection, where it says we did males today. So in the standard, it says the shape of the males and the shape of the females, and then the color of the males. And the standard talks about what those colors and what the shape should look like. So when you think, there's really two things in which we teach people to select their poultry. Number one is, which we're talking about now, is standard qualities. And there's multiple standard qualities that you look for when you're selecting a specific breed, especially like a Salmon Faverolles that's used for production qualities or it's used for utilities. All right? So what you're looking for, first and foremost, and I might have you comment on a couple of these things, Bryan.
Absolutely.
The first thing you're looking at is the type of the bird. When you look at the type, is the silhouette of a chicken. The Salmon Faverolles has a very unique silhouette or type, and it's a it has you might even use the term shape. And type means everything. I remember when we had the 16 birds lined up here, putting this guy in my hand, he had the best body type. You could feel the structure. When you handle lots and lots and lots of Faverolles, and soon you're going to catch up to the amount of Faverolles that I handle because you're the one breeding them.
Right.
Body type is number one, because body type, you're looking at the abdomen capacity, the width of back, the heart girth, the size of the bird, and you're evaluating all of these things. And I'm not going to go into super detail, or this could turn into an 8-hour seminar, right? We're not going to do that. So you have type. Type is number one. Type is what gives you the bird. The second thing is color. Now, Bryan, there's a lot of colors on these Faverolles males. Yeah. And so what did you, and we won't necessarily go in super detail, but the white is referred to as a straw color.
Straw color, yes, sir.
On both the hackles and the saddle feathers, it's referred to as straw.
Straw colored, yes, sir.
Now, do you remember this brown right here? What's it? I forget what it's referred to there.
Reddish brown, I believe is what the
Okay, it says on the back, it says the web, the outer portion, reddish brown. You got it right. Edged with a lighter shade of brown portion nearest to the undercolor and black. So what you have here is you have the Salmon Faverolles. It refers to as salmon color. It gives you a description of the color in the standard. Your goal as a breeder is to read the standard and to get the color as close as you possibly can. Now, one of the things that this male I really liked was his width of feather. If you open up his wings, he's got good width of feather. In his main tail feathers, he's got good width of feather. When he's on the ground, that's a beautiful tail, isn't it? Yes,
sir. Beautiful
tail. And you are admiring the fact that it's got a good green sheen and it has no other foreign color in the tail.
Right.
So, so that's very, very important in the selection. We also have the toes. Now, just talk a little bit, Bryan. What about the toes, especially that fourth and fifth toe? What are we looking for there?
Well, ideally, you want 5 separate toes. You want the fourth and fifth toe to be separated, ideally, and not fused together. But ultimately you want that fifth toe pointing up in the back.
Okay, pointing up. And he's got 2 of them that are pointed up very, very well.
He does.
Very impressive. So toes are important. Foot feathering. You notice this male, he's being very cooperative. Thank you. And does he have a name?
No.
He doesn't. Maybe we'll call him the Windy Ridge Stud. How's that? You okay with that? All right. Yeah, that's what we'll call him.
WR.
WR. Yeah, WR. So he has excellent foot feather. You were saying that there's some of them that had less foot feathering than more foot feathering.
That's correct, Jim. And also I've seen some that have light foot feathering or heavy foot feathering, but no shank feathering at all.
Okay. Okay. So we have foot feathering. We have the comb. We're looking for a single comb. We want it to be nice and straight. You said 5 spikes. All right. And he's got a good comb, nice and straight. Doesn't have any thumbprints, no S curves in the comb. That's an excellent comb. And then I wrote down his beard. He's got a good beard. Why don't you just point to where the beard is there?
The beard is right down here below the beak.
All right, right below the beak. And where are the muffs?
Right along the earlobes.
All right, and we did talk about the earlobes. We did find out of some of your males that they had, what does the standard say the earlobes should be? What color?
Earlobes should be red.
Should be red. So we saw some earlobes that had a little bit of the beginning of enamel white. And we don't want that, so we culled that out.
Yes,
that helped us to separate some males. So the earlobe is important. So those are just a number of things that the standard of perfection talks about for the Salmon Faverolles, all right? The other thing that we want to evaluate, and this is coming, is so you have standard qualities and you have production qualities. Now, obviously, Bryan, you are just getting started in breeding, but I wrote down there's really two areas that you want to keep track of as a breeder, and that is the rate of growth and the egg production.
Yes, sir.
The rate of growth and the egg production, and we evaluate the bird based on those production qualities. Now, this bird, which we didn't go into this much today, but in the males, we're looking at to make sure he's got good abdomen capacity, even as a male. We'll evaluate that some more on the females. But when you think of, share with our listeners, you did weighing at what ages?
I weighed my birds, my pullets, and my cockerels at 8 and 16 weeks.
Okay, 8 weeks and 16 weeks. And what did you notice about those weights? Anything that you would mention about the weights? Were they uniform?
They were all pretty consistent within a pound of each other, one way or the other.
Okay.
There was some outliers, of course. Some birds that were significantly less weight than the bigger birds in the pen, but there were some that were substantially bigger than the average too. Yeah.
Now this male, or the males that had a little better weights, do you remember about what their average was? I know we don't have those records in front of us.
The bigger birds probably at 16 weeks. Some of those birds weighed over 5.5 pounds.
Okay.
So I'd imagine somewhere between 5 pounds and 5.5 pounds. The bigger birds average.
All right, and the cockerels, according to the standard of perfection, should be 7 pounds, but that's at lay rate. That's at
I would imagine that's at 26 weeks.
Yeah, 24 to 28 weeks. So the reality is you had males that were right within standard weights, which was also very impressive to Matt Hemmer, wasn't it? Right. Matt was pretty excited about the weights you were getting. So keeping track of that rate of growth is very, very important. Now, obviously, how many girls are we going to be evaluating in a couple of months?
There'll be 48.
Okay, roughly about 50 females, and we'll be evaluating them just about the time that they go into egg production. So that'll be fun. That'll be very, very fun. Bryan, what are the next steps? Where do we go from here? What excites you about the future of your breeding program with these Salmon Faverolles, with especially with, what's his name, WR? WR. Yeah.
Jim, my main goal for breeding Salmon Faverolles is to help bring them back to sustainability and to get them back to where they once were. That's my main goal as a breeder. I obviously want to do things like try and grow the breed up here in the Northwest, but not only Northwest, but North America in general. I think that's important.
Yeah.
And my biggest goal as a Salmon Faverolles breeder is just to breed quality birds.
Breed quality birds.
I will never sacrifice quality for quantity.
Yeah.
And I think I want the birds that leave my farm to be the best product that I can absolutely send out to my consumers.
That's great. That's great. So it's been a great day. By the way, Windy Ridge Poultry in Gig Harbor, Washington. The best time of the year to be here is August, or maybe July and August.
It is, yes.
It's the best time. So listen, you don't have a website yet.
Not yet.
Not yet, but you are on Facebook.
We are.
Facebook for Windy Ridge Poultry. And he would maybe welcome some potential Salmon Faverolles enthusiasts that come
Absolutely.
visit. All you got to do is we don't want your dirty shoes coming here and contaminating the Windy Ridge.
That's right.
So it's been a great day. We're excited about having Bryan in the mentoring program for the Sustainable Poultry Network and working alongside of Matt Hemmer to develop another Salmon Faverolles disciple breeder. And
Right.
so these are exciting days. So thank you so much for all your hard work.
You bet.
Thank you for the sacrifices you're making on behalf of the birds. Thank you for great communication and all that you're doing for just to help bring back this breed
Absolutely.
to being a great utility breed, just like those early farmers in France wanted.
That's right.
Shouldn't say those early farmers, those long ago farmers.
Long ago, yes, sir.
Yeah. So, thank you so much.
You bet.
All right.
It's a pleasure.
I'll let you walk over there and turn that off.